Who killed King Tut? Was he poisoned, or was it an assassination? What was the motive? Who would have wanted the boy king dead? Join me for this episode of King Tutankhamun, better known as King Tut, died in 1323 BC at the age of 19. He'd been in poor health for a lot of his young life, and his death is no exception to that. But there are a few things that make his death unusual. First, the circumstances surrounding his death are a bit murky. Second, there are those who claim he was murdered rather than having died of natural causes. And third, there are quite a few theories about what really happened to him. When Tutankhamun became the pharaoh of Egypt at the age of 10, he took the throne after his father, Akhenaten, died. The reason for Akhenaten's death is unknown, but some historians believe it might have been because of all the weird religious iconography found in his tomb. Anyway, Tutankhamun came to power during a time when Egypt was going through some major changes. His father had turned the religion from polytheism to monotheism, worshipping one god, Aten, the sun. Then soon after Tutankhamun came into power, there was a royal revolution, and his advisors started to undo many of the changes made by Akhenaten. Tutankhamun married a woman named Ankhesenamun, who was the daughter of the previous king. But they didn't have any children together, which led many people to believe he might be impotent. If this is true, then it could have been one of the motives for wanting him dead. The problem with the circumstances of his death is that we don't know exactly what happened. We know he died in the Valley of the Kings, but we don't know why. Normally, when someone important died, they were mummified and buried in the royal burial grounds near Thebes. But in Tutankhamun's case, the person who was next in line to the throne, his uncle, wasn't even born yet. So why was the boy pharaoh buried so far away from where all the other pharaohs were buried? Some say it's because he died of a disease called malaria, which could explain why he was buried so hastily and away from everyone else. Others say it was because he was poisoned. In 1968, a scientist tested samples of King Tut's hair and found traces of arsenic in them. Arsenic can be used to lace someone's food or drink, and it's usually fatal within hours. But just because he had arsenic in his hair doesn't necessarily mean that he was poisoned. Arsenic was commonly used in makeup and other personal care products at the time, so he could have come into contact with it in a different way. Also, when he was discovered in 1922, some of his bandages were missing, which could mean that whoever found him moved the body and contaminated the area. Then there are those who think he was stabbed. When Howard Carter discovered his tomb, he noticed that the entrance to the burial chamber was blocked by rubble. It looked as though someone had tried to hide something. But when he brushed the dust off the stones, he realized that the rubble hadn't been disturbed since the tomb was sealed thousands of years before. Still, this hasn't stopped people from speculating that King Tut was murdered. One theory says that his own father, Akhenaten, killed him because he wanted to keep the throne in the family. But the biggest flaw in this theory is that Akhenaten died before Tutankhamun took the throne. Another theory says that his half-sister, who was also his wife, Ankhesenamun, killed him. She may have been jealous of her father's new wife, who was much younger than her, or she may have wanted to take the throne for herself. But again, there's no real evidence to support this theory either. So was King Tut murdered? Maybe. There's just not enough evidence to prove it. What do you think happened to him? Let me know in the comments below. And remember to follow if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. See you next time.